She was dismissed the very moment she stepped through the door. A wrinkled, oatmeal-colored dress, scuffed leather shoes, hair messy and loose down her back. An actress turned and whispered, loud enough for the room to hear, "Seriously? Showing up to the Noble casting looking like a homeless case?" Then she walked into the casting room, and the director's voice boomed across the floor. "Oh my God! Are you mocking me? This is an insult! Get her out! Out!" But she only needed one sentence, and what she said left the entire room frozen in silence. It was the final casting for Noble, an iconic fragrance brand making its first comeback in a decade with a global campaign shot by Ethan Cole, the notoriously ruthless director behind several Oscar-winning art films. The theme? Nobility. Not in the aristocratic sense, but something deeper, something eternal. The casting was being held in Manhattan, on the top floor of the Noble Corporation's sleek glass tower, where only 30 actresses were invited, handpicked from thousands across the country. These women were the creme de la creme, Golden Globe winners, legacy talents, media darlings. Ellie Harper, however, didn't belong, or so they thought. She was a nobody, no stylist, no team, just a wrinkled dress, a manager clinging to a gut instinct, and a secret that would change everything. The casting was held on the top floor of the Noble Corporation's sleek Manhattan skyscraper. Ellie Harper followed her manager Claire Dawson into the room and nearly squinted from the glare. The place was a dazzling sea of A-listers, with only a handful of new faces sprinkled in. The theme was nobility, so everyone was decked out in blinding finery, designer gowns, sparkling jewels, and perfectly styled hair. Most of the crowd knew each other, exchanging air kisses and networking with polished ease. Newcomers clung to the chance to flatter the big names, and the room buzzed with lively chatter. When Ellie appeared in the doorway, the room fell so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Not because she was famous, no one knew her name, but because, compared to the glittering stars dripping in diamonds, she looked wildly out of place. Some might have called her appearance unhinged. Her dress was a plain, slightly faded oatmeal shift, her brown leather shoes worn and scuffed. She wore no jewelry, no makeup, and her chestnut hair hung in loose, untamed waves down her back. The room was packed with Hollywood's elite, and after a moment of stunned stares, they didn't bother hiding their disdain. They didn't even lower their voices as they tore into her right in front of her face. "Who is this? She looks like she just crawled out of a dumpster. Did she get lost?" One actress sneered. Another chimed in, "No way, she's with Claire Dawson. You know, the manager who used to rep Vanessa Lane?" Everyone knew Claire, the golden manager who'd guided Vanessa Lane to stardom before Vanessa abruptly retired. Seeing Claire with Ellie sparked disbelief. "Wait, that's Claire's new client? The nobody she's hyping up?" A producer scoffed. "Even with Vanessa gone, Claire's resume shouldn't have her stooping this low." "Is Dawson's agency that broke? They can't even afford a stylist?" another quipped. "Nah, they're not broke. They just don't care about her. Look at her." The whispers turned vicious. Vanessa tanked her career over some guy and Claire couldn't even see it coming. She was her manager and didn't know until Vanessa announced it. "Yeah, Claire's washed up. The real star at Dawson's agency is Monica Reed, not her." At that moment, a rising star from Starlight Entertainment, Brooke Kendall, sauntered over to Claire with a syrupy smile that barely hid her mockery. "Claire, you brought your new talent to the casting?" she asked, her eyes raking over Ellie's outfit with pity. Claire nodded coolly. "Signed her up on a whim. She passed the prelims, so I figured it's good experience." Her tone was humble but firm, a subtle flex that Ellie had made it this far among the country's top actresses. Brooke's smile turned patronizing as she studied Ellie, shaking her head. "Claire, no offense, but even a waitress wouldn't show up looking like this. Did Vanessa's exit hit you that hard? If you're struggling, ditch Dawson's agency and come work for me. My assistant's salary isn't much, but it's better than babysitting a nobody like her." Starlight and Dawson's agency had been rivals for years, and Brooke had a personal grudge. Vanessa had stolen her spotlight at award shows too many times. She wasn't about to miss a chance to dunk on Claire now. The crowd around them smirked, eating up the drama. Someone else piped up, "Hey, I'm hiring assistants too. Claire, you interested?" Brooke laughed, delighted. "Wow, Claire's in demand. No need to worry about starving." Ellie's eyes flickered with a cold glint as Brooke humiliated Claire. But Claire had warned her, no matter what happened, keep your mouth shut. So Ellie found a quiet corner, sat down, and closed her eyes, tuning out the noise. She wasn't here to bicker. She was here to focus, to find the feeling she needed for the role. The audition started soon after. Ellie had drawn a decent number, 15 out of 30. Brooke, number 14, glanced at Ellie's number and sighed dramatically. Such a good slot wasted on her. The first actress, Mia Carson, went in. She was a powerhouse, a self-made star who'd clawed her way to a Golden Globe despite no formal training or fancy pedigree. The room tensed as she entered. Her talent was undeniable. Brooke, however, rolled her eyes. Please, she's just a high school dropout from nowhere. How's she supposed to pull off Noble? Brooke wasn't exactly a pedigreed actress herself, but her family was loaded. Her dad was a senator, her mom owned a luxury crocodile leather fashion line, and she'd been raised with elite etiquette, piano, calligraphy, the works. Today, she wore a gown that cost more than Noble's entire ad budget, and her confidence radiated. No one could match her background, even if some rivaled her fame. Mia emerged less than a minute later, her face ashen. Her manager rushed to her side, but Mia shook her head, defeated. Her manager's shoulders slumped, though she stayed to comfort her. Brooke crossed her arms, smug. Knew it. What's a small-town girl gonna do with Noble? Other actresses with trust fund backgrounds echoed her, sneering as Mia, unable to bear the mocking stares, bolted from the room. Even a Golden Globe couldn't shield her from the sting of their elitism. In her corner, Ellie cracked her eyes open, watching Mia's retreating figure with a flicker of regret. Mia's acting chops and fan base should have made this ad a lock. It was a shame. The second actress, a coal heiress whose dad had bankrolled her career, flopped even harder. The third, a Nepo baby with actor parents, lasted 3 minutes. Decent, but still a no. As actress after actress cycled through, even the biggest names crumbled under the pressure. The room grew heavy with nerves, especially as the director, Ethan Cole, could be heard ripping into them from behind the closed door. Ethan's American accent carried a biting edge, his fluency honed from years working abroad. Do they even understand what I'm saying? I'm questioning their IQ. I need nobility, elegance, not soulless mannequins twirling in a music box. He tore into Mia. She acts well, but her eyes betray her. Too common. Another actress. A walking coat rack. Tacky as hell. A third. She's talented, but she's no goddess, not the moon in my vision. And one before Brooke. That number 13, she thinks I'm an idiot. She knows nothing about the harp. The actresses outside, once brimming with arrogance, paled. Is this guy for real? He's trashed everyone, one muttered. He's got a chip on his shoulder about Americans, another grumbled. It's just an ad. Why is he acting like we need to be experts? Does he expect us to master everything? Brooke scoffed, tossing her hair. Only people with no talent make excuses and blame the director. With that, she strutted into the casting room as number 14. When Brooke pushed open the door, Ethan's scowl softened. She wore a vintage-inspired gown, dripping with pearls and emeralds, her blonde hair swept into an elegant updo with a jade hairpin. She wasn't just noble. She was a vision of American glamour with a nod to timeless sophistication. Ethan's eyes lit up, his tone warming. Come on, my dear, step closer. Let me see you. Brooke stood confidently, letting him appraise her. Raised in elite circles, her every gesture, her smile, her posture, oozed natural grace. No acting required. Ethan circled her, nodding. All right, Brooke, show me what you've got. The casting room was a treasure trove of props. A grand piano, a calligraphy set, a chessboard, an embroidery stand, a silk fan. Brooke's gaze settled on a harp. This one, she said, her fingers brushing the strings. The harp was trickier than a piano, its technique intricate. 7 pedals, 47 strings, a range of 6.5 octaves. Ethan, a culture buff who'd studied American and European arts for decades, wasn't someone you could fool with a half-baked performance. One actress had tried faking it earlier and got chewed out. Ethan raised a brow as Brooke chose the harp, skeptical. But when she began to play, his expression shifted. Her fingers danced over the strings, coaxing out a melody that was both delicate and commanding. After her performance, Ethan didn't dismiss her outright. A first. He conferred with his assistant for what felt like ages. Finally, the assistant approached Brooke politely. Miss Kendall, we're still auditioning, but could you wait outside? We'll let you know. The subtext was clear. They liked her, but they weren't done looking. Brooke smiled graciously. Of course. Inside, she smirked. Who could possibly top her? The role was hers. When Brooke stepped out, the room buzzed. She'd been in there nearly 10 minutes, and instead of Ethan's usual shouting, they'd heard the harp's ethereal notes. Brooke didn't slink away like the others. She sat down, poised, ready to be called back. It was obvious. She'd made the shortlist, maybe even clinched it. The other actress's confidence wavered. The big names didn't want to risk humiliation, but the noble contract was too juicy to abandon. "Number 15, you're up," the assistant called. Ellie, still lost in her own world, didn't budge. Claire, sitting beside her, didn't push. She knew Ellie needed this moment. Brooke, spotting Ellie in her corner, couldn't resist. "Claire, I'm not trying to be mean, but why pick her? Starlight dropped her for a reason. You're not seriously letting her audition like that, are you? When she tanks, it's not just you, it's your whole agency that'll look like a joke." Her words drew every eye to Ellie. The room stirred, some actresses chuckling. With her as the punching bag, maybe they wouldn't look so bad next to Brooke. A few, though, stayed quiet, wondering if Ellie's ragged appearance was a deliberate move, some secret strategy. Maybe she'd change before going in. "Claire, I'm ready," Ellie said softly, opening her eyes. Claire nodded. "You've got this." "Number 15, let's go," the assistant repeated. Under a sea of skeptical stares, Ellie stood, smoothed her dress, and walked calmly to the casting room. The second she disappeared inside, the chatter exploded. "Is she actually going in looking like that?" one actress gasped. "I thought she had some trick up her sleeve, but she's really auditioning like a hobo." "Ethan's gonna lose it. She's toast. Ignorance is bliss, I guess." Sure enough, Ethan's voice roared through the door. "My God, are you insulting me? Insulting Noble? Get out! Out!" Brooke sipped a juice her assistant handed her, grinning. "Better than I expected. Why bother when you know you'll crash and burn, hoping for a miracle?" She pulled out her phone and dialed. "Hey, Savannah!" "Brooke, you done? How'd it go?" Savannah's voice was smooth, warm. "Killed it, no surprises there," Brooke said smugly. The first 13 actresses had been threats, but the rest, not even close. She was a lock. "Knew you'd nail it," Savannah laughed. "Thanks for stepping aside, girl. This gig would have been yours otherwise." "Oh, stop. You've done me plenty of favors, like hooking my dad's company up with your mom's brand last month." "Small stuff. Guess who I just saw, though?" "Who?" "Your foster sister, Ellie Harper, the country bumpkin." "What? How'd she get into a Noble casting?" No clue what luck she stumbled into to pass the prelims, but it made for some good entertainment. The theme's nobility, and she showed up looking like she lives under a bridge. "She's lost it," Savannah cackled. "Totally. You're dodging a bullet, not dealing with her. She's digging her own grave. Anyway, gotta go. Catch you when I'm celebrating." Inside the casting room, Ethan's fury met Ellie's calm. She stood there, unfazed, her clear hazel eyes locking with his. Something about her gaze, pure, unyielding, made him falter, like he was the one out of place. Her outfit wasn't outrageous. It was just painfully simple next to the other's extravagance. The dress, though worn, was clean and neat. Her bare face, delicate and natural, reminded him of a line from a poem, a lotus rising pure from the water, untouched by ornament. Still, her lack of effort felt like a slap. "You! I'm talking to you. Don't you speak English? You're out. Leave now. Don't waste anyone else's time," Ethan barked, too annoyed to even check her name. As he ranted, Ellie drifted to the harp Brooke had played. Her fingers brushed the strings, plucking a few notes. Ethan's temper flared. "Don't touch the—" But then a cascade of sound stopped him cold. The notes flowed, intricate and powerful. This is Shenandoah?" he stammered. It was one of the most challenging American folk pieces for harp, a haunting melody tied to the nation's heart. Brooke had played a simpler classical piece. Ellie said nothing. She sat before the harp, her fingers moving with precision. The music swelled, pulling Ethan in. He forgot his anger, forgot to speak, lost in the melody's depth. Shenandoah was a cornerstone of American music, its notes carrying the weight of longing, resilience, and quiet strength. It wasn't just beautiful. It was alive with defiance, a story of enduring through hardship. Ellie's playing wasn't just skilled, it captured the song's soul. Ethan watched, stunned. Her clothes were ragged, her face bare, but as she played, no one could mistake her for anything less than extraordinary. She wasn't a nobody. She was a force, her story woven into every note. When the final chord faded, Ethan stood speechless. After a long pause, he steadied himself, his voice softer. "You're Shenandoah. It was beyond anything I expected." "Thank you," Ellie said, nodding slightly, her expression unchanged. Her calm, whether facing his insults or his praise, struck him. It wasn't arrogance, it was something deeper, a grace that seemed to come from her core. This was nobility, not the kind bought with wealth or titles, but the kind forged in the soul, unshakable even in rags. He studied her, his excitement growing. None of the others, not even Brooke, had stirred him like this. Brooke's performance, polished as it was, felt rehearsed, hollow. But Ellie, she was the real deal. Clearing his throat, he pressed further. Tell me, how do you interpret nobility? The others had given textbook answers: education, refinement, poise, solid but uninspired. He leaned forward, eager for Ellie's take. She paused, choosing her words. True nobility isn't about the shine of luxury or the weight of a name. It's not jewels on your wrist or a flawless face. It's not even knowledge or manners you parade to impress. Real nobility is when you're in a worn dress, hair a mess, and still your spirit shines through, undeniable. Ethan's eyes widened, his face practically glowing. Ellie continued, Noble's campaign is about fragrance, right? A scent can reveal more about a person than any designer gown. For a woman, perfume is her essence. It matters more than clothes. It's timeless, not a trend like jewelry or hairstyles. A great fragrance never fades. Ethan couldn't hold back. Yes, exactly. He nodded furiously. Her words nailed the campaign's heart. Outside, the waiting actresses heard Ethan's initial outburst, then silence, followed by the harp's soaring notes. One scoffed, What, Claire prepped her with a harp trick? After Brooke's performance, that's just embarrassing. Another, more perceptive, frowned. That piece sounds harder than Brooke's, but it won't matter. Brooke, who knew her harps, felt a flicker of unease at the technical skill echoing from the room, but she brushed it off. Claire, your little project doesn't get it. The harp's elegant, performers bathe, dress impeccably, respect the tradition. She's disrespecting the art itself. Ethan's going to tear her apart. The others nodded, reassured. Claire stayed quiet, watching the door. Ellie hadn't been kicked out yet. That was step one. But her approach was risky, and Claire wasn't sure how it'd land. When the music stopped, no shouting followed. The wait stretched longer than Brooke's audition. What's going on in there? An actress muttered, pacing. He's probably chewing her out so bad he lost track of time. Ethan's a top-tier director. He's brutal. This is going to tank Claire's whole agency. Inside, Ethan grabbed Ellie's file from his assistant, scanning it. His eyes widened. Ellie Harper. Wait, you're Cassandra Reed? Cassandra? Yes, that was my first film role, Ellie said. Claire had sent clips from Legacy, so she wasn't shocked he knew the name. But his excitement seemed intense. Ellie, the moment I saw Cassandra, I was hooked. I need to see that film in theaters. When's it out? Ethan's regret was palpable. He'd almost missed her because her everyday look was so different from her on-screen persona. Ellie smiled politely. It's still in post-production, probably a month out. Thank you for the kind words. No, you deserve it, Ethan gushed. In Legacy, Cassandra was a villain, but her commanding presence, regal, untouchable, was exactly what he'd been searching for. Ellie's performance today only confirmed it. I'm so sorry, Ellie. I was blind, almost sent you away. You're right, nobility isn't skin deep. He led her to a display of noble fragrances. For 2 centuries, Noble's scents have been crafted with ancient techniques, using the world's finest ingredients. It's the aroma of true aristocracy. I'm honored to direct this campaign, but I needed someone who could embody that. Thank God I found you. This collaboration will be perfect. His assistant coughed, whispering, Sir, others are still waiting. Should we call the next? Ethan waved him off. No need. Ellie's our ambassador. Tell the rest they can go. Outside, the door finally opened. The assistant stepped out, addressing the crowd. Ladies, we've chosen Noble's ambassador. The casting is over. As a thank you, Noble's gifting everyone a 3-day luxury cruise. Enjoy. The room froze. Actresses who hadn't auditioned gaped. What? They're done? We didn't even get a shot. It stung, but most weren't surprised. The top names sighed in relief. No humiliation for them. They swarmed Brooke, offering congratulations. Well done, Brooke. If it's you, I'm not mad. Brooke stood basking in the praise and approached the assistant. Thank you, Ethan, for the opportunity. I won't let him down. The assistant blinked, confused. No, there's a mix-up. It's not Ms. Kendall. What? The crowd stilled. Ethan chose Ellie Harper, number 15. Ellie Harper? The one dressed like a bum? You're joking, right? Brooke's face drained of color. There's a mistake. You mean Ellie Harper? The nobody? She'd already bragged to Savannah. Losing to Ellie? Unthinkable. The assistant nodded firmly. No mistake, it's Ms. Harper, number 15. Brooke's voice shook with righteous indignation. This isn't fair. We deserve an explanation. The assistant sighed. It's Ethan's call. I can't change it. Then let me talk to him, Brooke demanded. Others murmured, wondering if the assistant had botched the announcement. Even Claire looked stunned. The assistant relented. Fine, I'll pass it along. He returned quickly. Ms. Kendall, Ethan says, when you see the noble ad, you'll understand why we chose Ellie. He turned to Claire. Ms. Dawson, Ethan would like you to come in to discuss the contract. Claire, still processing, nodded. Thank you. She followed him inside, leaving Brooke red-faced and the others dumbstruck. No way. Ellie Harper? We lost to her? I was gonna say, she's Claire's client. No way she's that simple. We underestimated them. Talk about a dark horse. Brooke's gotta be dying. First Vanessa owned her, now Claire's new girl? On the ride back, Claire glanced at Ellie, who was munching a hot dog, her first meal since prepping for the casting. The more Claire worked with her, the less predictable she seemed. You okay? Ellie asked, mouth full, catching Claire's stare. Feeling lucky to have a genius client like me? Claire chuckled. I thought your plan was risky. Ethan knows his stuff. He could have seen through any act. But that harp? You played like a master. That takes years. Your resume didn't mention it. Ellie nearly choked, laughing. Years? Claire, you're giving me too much credit. I learned it in a month. And it's the only piece I know. I memorized it by rote. My whole goal was to show off. Claire blinked, torn between amusement and disbelief. Seriously? Yup, Ellie said, holding up a finger. I dabble in a lot. Harp, piano, whatever. I pick up enough to get by, but I'm no expert. If it takes years of grinding, I just learn the basics and move on. Claire shook her head, smiling. You're something else. As the city lights blurred past, Ellie took another bite of her hot dog, unfazed by the day's chaos. She'd walked into a room full of wolves, let them tear her apart, and still came out on top. Not because she needed to prove them wrong, but because she knew who she was, and that was enough. Like, share, comment, and subscribe for more stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat.